Okay, so for your Clawbot code, you should have a code that looks pretty much like this. If you don't, you need to go back into Teams and open up the video that will teach you how to write the first part of the code. The first thing I want you to do is go up to File, Save As, and make sure you are saving this. Click on over here on the left-hand side, scroll down till it says, for you guys, click on this PC. Wherever it says this PC, you should find here we go. You should be able to find a couple different drives. Find the drive that looks like this, that has your name on it, save it in there, call it Clawbot. Now, the first thing we're going to do to change or to finish this code is I'm going to start highlighting under my while loop, and I'm going to right-click, cut this. I'm going to go up on my task main. I'm going to hit the Enter key a couple times. I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to right-click, paste it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from a loop, and I'm going to change it into a function. So this part of the code right here, motor left on my channel 3 and motor right on channel 2, this is my drive. So I'm going to call this task drive. And now that I have that task defined, I'm going to be able to call it in my code. Now I want this drive task to be on a loop. So I'm going to put my loop back, while 1 equals 1. And I'm going to make sure I have braces around that while loop. So now if you look at, I'm going to make some more spaces just so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm making a task, which is the same thing as a function. I'm calling it drive. It has a brace and then a while loop, more braces for the actual code, and then I close those 2 braces. If you want to hit this magic wand up here, it says fix formatting, it'll make things line up a little nicer so you can see that these braces are closed and these braces are closed. So there's my first task. Now for my second task, this is my claw. So I'm going to call this, you guessed it, task claw. I'm going to put braces around it again. And I'm also going to write another while loop. So while 1 equals 1. Where'd that go? I want that down here. I'm going to put braces around this chunk of code. I'm going to fix the formatting again so I can see that my braces are matched up for my 6 up button, turning my claw positive, my 6 down button, turning my claw negative, or else my claw is 0. It does nothing. So that's lined up, that's lined up, that's lined up. And if I compile, I should have an acceptable code. The only thing I'm seeing are these yellow X's, and that's telling me that I have an unreferenced task. It's telling me I didn't use those tasks yet. Well, I know that because I'm not done. All right, now I need to do one more task. I need to write a task for the arm. We don't have any code for the arm motor, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of working smarter and not harder. I'm going to highlight my task for my claw. I'm going to right-click copy. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to right-click paste, and I'm going to call this task arm. Now, if this is my arm task, I need to put it on a different button, so I'm going to put it on button 5, and instead of motor claw, I'm going to call it motor arm. Button 5, motor arm, motor arm. So now I've got my 5 up button turning my arm motor positive, my 5 down button turning my motor negative, or else my motor is 0. So now I've got 3 tasks. I've got a task to drive, a task to run my claw, and a task to run my arm. So down here in task main, all I need to do is call on start task, and I'm going to use parentheses. My first task is called drive, and I'm going to put a semicolon at the end of the line of code. And I'm going to start task again, arm, put a semicolon at the end of the line of code, and start task again, claw. So now that I have written those functions, all I have to do is tell my robot when it starts the the code to run the drive code, run the arm code, run the claw code. And now all three of these functions are going to run simultaneously. The reason I don't want these functions, all these else's and if else's, all down here in task main, like the video did, if I put them all in task main, sometimes I can get stuck in this loop and I won't get back to this loop. It can get a little bit confusing for the robot. But if I write these functions before task main and then call them into my code, the robot doesn't get as confused. Now, the code is finished. It will work. Everything will be great, but you will not get all your points. This is just the code for the robot. You need to finish the rest of the protocol for a successful code. Click on compile. Make sure your code works. Oh, it doesn't like motor arm. What did we call that? Oh, we didn't put motor arm in here. So let's go into motor and sensor setup. Let's put motor arm in port 4, VEX 393. And the other thing we're going to do, instead of using port 1 and 10, let's move this right motor into port 2 and this left motor into port 3. So I'm just copying and pasting those motors into port 2 and 3. That means I have no motor in port 1, no motor in port 10, and I need to tell it that I have a 393 in ports 2 and 3, and we need to reverse one of them. Doesn't really matter which one you reverse, but reverse one of them. Click OK. Now, if I compile the program, I should have no errors. My code is ready. We are still missing a couple things. We're missing a task description, pseudocode, and comments. So save your work, go to File, Open Sample Program, go to the PLTW folder, open the template, and what you can do is you can just highlight this green comment section, right-click Copy, go back to your Clawbot code, right-click Paste, fill in the project title, team members, date section, fill in your task description. You need to decide what this should say. It should be a couple sentences about what your Clawbot does. Your pseudocode, remember, is a list, line by line by line, that tells me what this code's going to do. And then down here in the code, make sure you give me single line comments that tell me what this code will do. This code, this line of code, will run the left motor on channel 3. Okay, that's simple. It doesn't need to be a huge long sentence. This line of code runs the left motor on channel 3. That's it. Boom, done. Move on to the next one. Write a line of comments for every line of code. All right? Make sure you save your work and finish your code. Good job, guys.